This is Shane Harper from Good Luck Charlie and God's Not Dead, and you're watching Dispatch Radio.
All right, folks, I get the privilege of introducing our next guest, a great show, House of Cards. You know him as President Walker. Michel Gill, how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I should have introduced you as, hello, Mr. President, but I guess that may kind of get
with a little hail to the chief in the background. That always helps.
Maybe. That's probably got a little awkward at some points, right? Kind of people saying stuff like that to you regularly.
No, not really, because it's always a caveat of, oh, aren't you? Well, good job, Mr. President. That sort of thing.
Well, your wife's on the show with you as well, Jane Atkinson, plays Secretary of State, so I'm sure she does a good job of keeping you humble.
Every now and then she'll go, yes, Mr. President.
Oh, there you go.
In a very sexy voice, and that always is fun.
There you go. So tell folks a little bit about how you even got started with House of Cards. Netflix rolled out this great show. Kevin Spacey's on board, and it's just really exploded. Now you're getting renewed for a third season. But how did Michel Gill really get? Because you come from a Broadway background, so how did you first get involved with this?
Yeah, I've always gone up for things like this and for TV and stuff like that. But and we really did not know much as we were beginning the process. It was not evident that this was what it was. So the first audition I had was just going in and being put on tape for a role of a president, and I just was given a scene. And then 3 months later, I was called back again to do actually another part on it. And I'm not quite sure they wanted to see a couple of variations of me. And then the following week, I was called in again to do the president. And then the following week after that, again to be taped to have and take some notes. And by that time, I really, by the second audition, I knew that this was a David Fincher, Kevin Spacey venture. And also between that and the third, I started hearing real information about the Netflix thing. And then by the end of it, it wasn't about as much the Netflix thing as it was about really wanting to work with these people. And then seeing where that was going to go. And then as I started really discovering what had transpired, I felt this sort of, I've said this before, the seismic shift in the industry. This was a huge game changer that Netflix was so bold. What's so bold about it is we look back and go, well, that's a no-brainer. Everybody's been, indicating that we've been binging for a long time. People grab series in, their closest video shop and binge things or record on DVRs weeks and weeks ahead so that they can just not, instead of waiting a week between shows, they can at least have the satisfaction of watching 4 or 5 at a time. So this has been sort of a something that's been coming along, and Netflix just had the balloons to just say, let's do it. And they slapped down a whole lot of money where other networks and cable companies were saying, yeah, here, do a pilot, let's see what it looks like and how the Nielsen ratings go and how our viewership. But Netflix had the analytics. They had the algorithms to know that David Fincher, Kevin Spacey, political drama, they knew what their audience would be, and they just went for it. And that was very, very bold and risky.
You bring up a really good point, because I'm guilty as charged. I remember going back as far as Sopranos and telling folks that I don't want to hear about it. I'm 4 or 5 episodes behind. I don't like the cliffhangers. I'm spoiled. I want to watch 8 in a row. I don't want to have to wait week to week like you regular people. So I'm guilty as charged, and I'm still shocked. I covered a show recently, and I don't want to throw the network under the bus, but they still don't have the on-demand programming yet. I'm like, you don't understand how easy and flexible this is to grow your audience, and I couldn't agree more with your assessment. And as we look at President Walker now we're a couple seasons in, and then, of course, how season 2 ends, who is President Walker? Is there a certain inspiration there for you that you still kind of always go back to, or is it just still kind of an amalgam of maybe 2 or 3 presidents and, of course, just this creative appeal that Fincher and Spacey are able to pull together?
Right. I think it's a combination. They saw, who I was as a human being, and the presence and whatever I had to offer just plainly as me was something that drew them to me. Then I have a lot of presidents to sort of tap into, particularly the ones since I've been alive, have been so scrutinized by the media that it's been a really wonderful thing to be able to just touch YouTube and watch presidents. And then it's just a part. it's a role, and like playing, and I've said this many times, like playing a king on stage, or a general, or any kind of role of leadership in the theater or as an actor in general. There's very little you can do to do that. You can't walk on with your chest pumped up and your shoulders broad and a sort of a way of doing this and saying, I'm the boss here, unless you're really doing something that's specifically a guy who's incredibly insecure and who really has to try to prove that. And it comes off pretty bad. So what you have to do is really bank on a company of people who are not only invested in the story, but invested in you being that leader, and they endow you with that power. And that really helps things along, because when somebody just defers to you in their physicality and their way of being, immediately endows power to that person. So I banked on that. I banked that, the minute you see me in the Oval Office, we're so familiar with that venue, we know that something serious is going on. And because I'm not a diminutive character, a person in just my life, I knew that I would sort of fit that room in a comfortable way, and my job was to relax in it, just to be as relaxed as possible and not try to play it, but have it play me. And then find each situation that came along with the scenes to just play them, like as an act, as we do as actors. Find out why I'm saying it, what I'm doing there, what I feel about it, and just go. But I had done so much research through my life on presidents and their behavior, just the look of them, and watching them, walk and talk, that I felt, and I continue to do it as I got this, that it was just going into my bank, and I was just starting to physically, to physicalize it. So that was my process with this.
Did you know, how far along ahead are scripts? Did you know the fate of Walker's presidency 2-3 weeks out, or is it sort of kind of like, you get that, you sit down for that read through, and then it hits you, it's like, this is what's going to happen as we wrap up season 2 and go into 3?
Yeah.
How far in advance do you get to know those things? Because different shows are run different ways, and it's a fascinating thing to kind of delve into. I was just speaking to Michael Potts about True Detective. When they first started, they only had like 2 scripts, so there really wasn't, until they got going, there really was a week-to-week sort of expectation and suspense for them as well.
Right. Well, for instance, I think I read Kate Mara knew that she was going just to the first episode of the second season. She knew that.
Okay.
Because Netflix had bought 2 seasons, I knew that those 2 seasons had to be bookended. So from the get-go, I knew that there was especially because of the British series, where there is a rise of an ascension, in the sense of the Frank Underwood character. I knew that there was intrinsically a journey and an arc for this that would be bookended and probably and possibly end by the second season. And then early in the second season, I was, Bo and I talked, and he was creating that arc. And we were very much, on the page, and I knew what was going to unfold.
What has surprised you most about working with Kevin Spacey? The strangest thing happened. Before you meet, I've seen Kevin over the years, whether I crossed paths walking in the street with him. We both went to Juilliard, so we have, we know similar people. I've never worked with him, but when I shook his hand that first day, it felt literally like I had known him for a long time. There was a familiarity that immediately set in, and I think that surprised me, in a sense, that there was no surprise, that it just felt comfortable. And that's to his credit, because he has been doing this for a long time, and I know, not just from my experience, but from other people that I've talked to, he just creates a very comfortable environment. And it was just from the get-go comfortable, respectful, and fun. And that, I guess, the surprise is that although he sets a bar because of who he is, I couldn't wait to meet him there.
And it wasn't a bar that I was unfamiliar with because I've worked with really wonderful and great actors in my life. So not only was I not intimidated by that bar, but I had great respect for it, and I was up for the challenge, and I couldn't wait. So really, the surprise was that I wasn't surprised.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You get the wonderful opportunity to work with another of my favorite actors, Gerald McRaney, and tell folks a little bit about how wonderful he is on a set and to work with.
Yeah, he's the real deal. You know, there's no messing about. You just walk in, he's down to earth, he's there, he's friendly, and he's just so planted. He knows what he's doing, knows why he's doing it, gets in there, connects, eye contact, listens, talk. I mean, he's the real deal. And with all that vast experience behind him, you just, again, you feel that you're in good company and that everybody knows what they're doing, what their role is, and how to execute it. And when you have to do that, when you know that's there, then you can just do your work. And so he's another one, as is my wife. You know, honestly, the bar that we raise for each other whenever we work, it's just all familiar to us. We really love being at that level. And with Gerald, it's the exact same thing. He's just terrific.
Let's just to speculate a little bit about House of Cards Season 3 and beyond, and I wanted to ask your opinion of the character Frank as this incredible villain. And, you know, Frank is kind of his own worst enemy here, and I want to ask your opinion. Do you think it's a be careful what you've asked for, you just might get it kind of thing? Is that what fans should kind of look forward to in the Season 3? Because that's kind of how it looks to me, a little bit.
Well, I think you're absolutely on target as opposed when you say a villain is his own worst enemy. I mean, I think that's the classical way, and it's not only classic; it's just also so contemporary. Everybody just, when they reach for these kinds of ambitions, they tend to get in their own way. So I don't know if he's asked for any of it. I think he just, I don't think he asks for anything. He just goes and goes and goes. Right. And they've got this agenda, they've got this ambition, they've got this understanding between each other, he and Claire, and there is no stopping them. And that hubris, that arrogance, and that danger, that life on the edge, blinds you at some point, and you end up, all just on your horse going, my kingdom for a horse, just before you go down.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen, I would think. I mean, there's the relish is in the rise and the fall. That's the great tragedy of Frank Underwood. And so it depends. That's how I would perceive it. It really depends on David and Bo and Kevin on how they want to have this unfold.
It's fantastic, and you finally got a break a little bit from that production, or are you going back to do some stage work and things like that? Are you just enjoying some time to relax? What's going on in the life of Michael Gill?
Yeah, I've been doing a good amount of PR. It's been great. The reception has been so wonderful. I'm back home, but I'm going to be doing a pilot in the next couple of weeks. That's a pilot for ABC. It's called Dangerous Liaison. So I'm involved with that, and if that gets picked up, we'll go on with that. But at this point, that's what I'm focused on the next job. But also, we're home. We have a 14-year-old boy who needs his parents desperately, and needs to also tell them to get the heck away from them. So we're here doing that and being a real pain in the butt to him.
I have a house full, so I can relate to that.
Come here, get away. As long as we're here for him to say that.
So the translation there, folks, is lift up your prayers for Michael and Jane. They need a little extra. There's a teen. There's some self-admission of the struggles that we're also going through. And people lose sight of that, don't they, Michael, that you guys are just regular folks and regular lives and have kids and struggles and... Oh,
gosh. Yeah, well, we certainly don't. I think the perception of, actors and that kind of Hollywood...
fans of actor, yeah.
Yeah, but it's very important to know that we are always heading home wherever we live and have every day great realities, that we not only check each other's reality, but thank God for kids. Because they really do as well, and not for one moment should we be in any other sort of position than to be there as responsible parents and family. So it is. I mean, it's a tough business to do all that and juggle that. So every day is a choice. And we're just glad to be living. We live away. We live up in Massachusetts, so that, in the country, and that sort of makes it real as well. So it's all good.
I may have to borrow. I'm going to use that Michael Gill, The Great Realities of Real Life, because let me tell you what, that's fantastic. That'll preach. That's some life lessons right there for some folks. But Michael, I know I can't keep you much longer. I really appreciate you fitting us in the schedule. I'm loving this. I love the show, and I tell people so about it. And I look forward to. Hey, we'll look for this ABC pilot. Hopefully that'll be the next Michael Gill production, and we'll be talking soon about that.
Wonderful.
Thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Take care.